Welcome, everyone, to Sitting with Sean Extraordinary. This is episode 2 of the podcast, and I want to say I got a very special guest, and it came at the drop of a dime, and I mean that at a drop of a dime. I was like, I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I'm like, boom, this is who I want next, and it's Panda.
Here I am, like 30 minutes later.
Yeah. 30 minutes later, I said, hey, man, shoot my shot. And he was like, let's go. Let's do it. So fuck it. Here we are.
Hey, first of all, thank you for having me with you. You and I've had a lot of interaction where you've been a part of like the whole journey and shit. And I know we'll be getting into a lot of that, but like, I appreciated you actually asking me to be a part of this. Not even because I had nothing going on, just because like, it's cool to kind of show the other side of me that I don't show purposely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everybody, this is Panda. Love Panda, Matt, for everybody. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself formally?
So I'm Matt. People know me as Panda or Love Panda 24x48 on TikTok and Twitter, and I think Instagram too at this point. I'm just your regular ass dude that lately is I don't understand life anymore.
Yeah.
It's gone way too crazy, way too fast in the last 7 months.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Well, that's what this part of the podcast is meant to do, take regular ass people and put a spotlight on them and give them some credit where credit's due.
Which I thank you for.
No problem, man. Hey, yeah. So like I met Panda just by odd coincidence. I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan.
I love it.
Yeah. This is my favorite fucking shirt. It's my favorite shirt, but he's a part of the pro wrestling community. He's part of Wrestle Talk. Huge influencer. And you're big. You're bigger than you know, man. You're bigger than you know.
I still try to be as humble as I can on that shit because, like, it's weird to me because at home I'm just a 35-year-old dad. Like, I just love wrestling. I'm like you. I love Batman, obviously. I love pro wrestling. Like, I don't know. Here I am. Like, it's kind of cool.
Actually, the guy that I actually recorded an episode early this morning that got posted, and the guy does cosplay, and he does a lot of Batman cosplay. He has the whole metal bat suit from Batflick.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah. And he lives up here in Anchorage. He's a good buddy of mine. Actually, he used to be a pro wrestler too.
Cheers.
That's how. Yeah, I met him playing Pokemon Go, and he was wearing a wrestling shirt, and I was like, "Hey, you don't see too many people that like wrestling in Alaska."
Let alone Pokemon and wrestling in Alaska.
Yeah, exactly. And then I found out he was a pro wrestler, and this dude told me his story earlier today, and I was just absolutely mind blown. And not to mention, he's a DDP yoga instructor too.
Okay.
Yeah.
They follow me on Twitter. Like, I've followed DDP's journey for a long time. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you know DDP's journey.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, dude. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you. This is water, by the way, guys. It's nothing crazy.
Just straight Mountain Dew for me.
Yep. So anyways, we're going to get into it, man. Where are you from? What? Obviously we know Batman and we know professional wrestling. What are some of your hobbies, man?
So to get to the hobby part, let's get to the beginning. I live in Flint, Michigan, the water capital of the world. I was actually born in a small town about a half hour from here called Owasso, and I never fit that culture. That culture is very, I don't want to be detrimental to my hometown, so we'll just say backwoods, and it's never been my modern style thinking. So yeah, like I grew up from there. I was married for almost 10 years. I have 2 wonderful kids. I have a 14-year-old. I have a 9-year-old. Everything's kind of weird because like when I come home from work and I get on my phone, all of a sudden Matt's like gone. And then Panda checks into work and it's just like, okay, here we go. What are we doing tonight? But like hobby wise, I love, besides wrestling and video games, like I was saying, I am a huge football fan. I love Batman. I love all sports, really. I'm a huge sports nut. I play golf. I'm not good at it, but I play golf. Other than that, like you would be amazed how much of just a basic guy I am. Fun fact, because nobody really asks me what I do in real life. Yeah. I'm an optical technician, so I'm like the nurse for an eye doctor. So that's when you come in to see an eye doctor and they're like, Bobby, do you want to come on back? I'm the one that's calling Bobby back. And I got recognized at work one time. And it was the weirdest interaction because it happened in May, like early May. A patient came in and I was going like setting the foreopter and all that stuff in the room for the doctor. And he's like, hey, you said your name was Matt? Yeah. What? Like I figured like, maybe you knew me from my hometown or something like that. He's like, do you go by like Panda? Oh my. I immediately just froze and just like, what? Yeah, dude, I just watched one of your videos on TikTok yesterday. Hey, yeah, I'm Panda. The dude comes in a few days later to pick up his stuff and brings his wife. He's like, honey, this is the guy I was telling you about that I watch on TikTok. And she's like, hi. Like, yeah, this isn't awkward. What's up? What the fuck? So that was kind of weird having to explain to my coworkers why I'm named after an endangered species.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome, man. Yeah, the crazy thing is when you start to get recognized out in public. I haven't gotten that yet, thank God. But but when you start to get recognized and people are like, I know you, and you're like, shit. Is that good?
Because then it's like, it's like the whole Ricky Bobby, like, I don't know what to do with my hands right now type of thing. Like everything was real tight. Like there's nothing I can really say. Like, hi.
Yeah.
I know you probably expected taller. I know. Here we are.
Yeah.
Sorry. Shock the world. 5'11".
I really do wear glasses. This isn't just for the aesthetic.
Yeah, it's not a gimmick. I wear contacts and glasses, so it's not a gimmick. I'm really blind as shit.
Right. I can relate to you though, man. Like I grew up in the backwoods of Maryland, dude. And like when I say backwoods, like you've seen Blair Witch Project, right? Mm-hmm. I grew up right around the corner from where that shit was filmed.
I'll see you and raise you. If we're gonna compare hometowns,
okay.
You want to open up Pandora's box? Here you go. Here we go. And this is why I say it's going to open up Pandora's box the second I say this name to you. Does Malcolm X ring a bell to you?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Remember Malcolm X wrote a book?
Yeah.
Have you ever read it?
No, I have not.
He mentions one city by name in the book, and it's my hometown, and he calls it the White Pearl of the North.
Wow.
I'm from that.
Wow.
See why I had to get out?
I understand. I can understand that.
Especially when your kids are mixed.
Yeah. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
You got me beat.
Yep, I'll take that one just a little bit. Also, the other thing about my hometown,
Panda one.
President Truman, how they have the whole newspaper of Truman beats Dewey or Dewey beats Truman. Thomas Dewey was born in my hometown.
Oh, wow.
So the guy who lost the presidency and thought he won it is also from my hometown too. Yay!
Yay!
Other than that, my hometown doesn't really have shit.
Yeah, that's wild.
Nope, we've got a college football and NFL Hall of Famer too. So we got one of those.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we got Brad Van Pelt that played for the Giants back in the 80s. The Giants and the Jets and the Raiders. Like he actually has like a whole shrine built for him in my high school, which really annoys me because I always looked at it like, that should be me. Someday I'm going to come back and be like, you know what?
Yeah. I'm rich and famous. You can fuck off.
Yeah. Fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out.
Yeah. So what made you choose to be an optical technician?
Indeed. No,
Okay.
So I've done a lot of different jobs. Like I've worked for Best Buy. I've worked for most of the major cell phone carriers throughout my life. Like I've always been in technological type of stuff, but I always enjoyed talking to people. A couple years ago, my hometown had a posting for an optical technician. And I kind of just applied to it on a whim, and I was just like, oh, well, hell with it, I need a job. Uh, and they actually hired me, and I was like, I hope you guys know I don't know shit about this position. Oh, we'll teach you. Okay. I started learning. COVID hit. I got let go. And then fast forward the clock back to like February, March. I've been with the current doctor I've been working for ever since. But it's really cool. Some patients are a challenge, but everybody's got a story. Everybody's got wants to talk to you. Well, not necessarily wants to talk to you, but everybody's got a different story. So like you see different perspectives of life just throughout the day. So it helps with perspectives. It helps with the way that I kind of, I kind of look at life a little bit differently. So it kind of helps with some of those realizations that I have of seeing the different realities that people have and piecing it to mine too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's cool.
One of the things is you can change the perspective of somebody's day like that.
That was nice. We did that at the same time. That was nice.
Yeah, we did. You can change the perspective of somebody's day at the drop of a hat. And just by, listening and being there. And that's something I really admire about you, is that you have that ability to just sit back and let somebody talk. Mm-hmm. And whether it's good or bad, you just let them go. And then, all right, cool. I hope you're doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually why I followed you. It had nothing to do with that you like pro wrestling, because there's a ton of people on TikTok that love pro wrestling and they give their inputs, but it's the fact that you're able to relate to other people and you're empathetic toward other people.
You want to know, here's a behind the scenes thing of everything that I do on video wise. Have you ever watched like Last Week Tonight with John Oliver?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen The Daily Show?
Yeah.
That's all I did, is I took that Daily Show Last Week Tonight approach and I took all the serious real world issues out and I put pro wrestling into place. Yeah. That's all I've done, is I just took that Jon Stewart, John Oliver style, like I have on my TikTok bio of the John Oliver of pro wrestling. It kind of works because all you hear, well, I won't say all you hear, a lot of what you hear is tribalistic, and it's either you got to enjoy this or you got to enjoy that, and you can't have any kind of middle ground. There's not really a creator that says, why the hell not? There's not really there's creators that will try to call out bullshit, but they call it out in a narcissistic tone. And it's coming from self-indulgence more than group will. And that's where some of those differences, where people like you even said, like, hit that follow button, because it's a different type of thinking. Yeah. Everybody's got an asshole. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a thought. Everybody's got an idea. But if you don't have a neutral mindset to capitalize and be kind of cerebral in your thinking, and you run off emotion, you fail.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Couldn't agree more. So we're going to get into the wrestling portion here in a second. How did you come up with the name Love Panda?
That I did not create, honestly. That was created for me in high school. Weirdly enough, because back in high school, there were so many of us in my graduating class that were named Matt. There was like 5 or 6 of us that were Matt. So we all just went by last names. And I am built like Chewbacca. So we were... They have like a full workout gym for the football team and everything there. I was in a strength training class for that. And, we're all changing out and getting ready for class and all that shit. And one of my buddies is like, Jesus, dude, you're built like a panda. Hey, yeah, kind of am. Yeah, I always thought I was, part Chewbacca, and I would just say like hashtag Wookiee strong or something. But him and I ended up hanging out like a few weeks later, and we were both under the influence. And he was just like, I love you, Panda. Like, wait a minute. And it kind of just clicked right there. And I made it all my gamer tags. So
That's
like
awesome.
when I was on like PlayStation, that's my gamer tag. Because it just kind of fit. And it's unique, it's different. Like, and that's something with like the creators, especially the top ones. Heel Kevin, Narcolepsy Boy, Wheezy, like, you know, there's Lana Banana. Like, there's so many people that I could just rattle off because they have unique style names.
Yeah.
But I feel like Love Panda is so antithesis of all the names that you see, because you see like Heel Panda, you see Heel Kevin, you see Heel Voldemort, you see all the other ones. Like,
Yeah.
you don't see
Voldemort.
you don't see the flip side of it, where it's like, you know, we can twist it a little bit. And I'm not saying I'm a face or anything, because face Panda, that just sounds like shit.
Yeah.
Love Panda.
Love face.
Love Panda, it has to grow on you a little bit, and then it just becomes second nature to people at this point, where it's just like, hey, Panda. And it's weird because WrestleMania, that I know you follow too, Russell lives near me. He moved up to Michigan, and he lives actually in the same city that my kids live in.
Nice.
I was at GCW in March, and while I was there, I checked TikTok and I looked at Russell's video, and he took a video of him recording me saying how he found me. And I'm just like, oh, there he is. He's like a wild Love Panda sighting. I'm like, this son of a bitch found me and didn't tell me he found me first.
Right.
And then he came over after the show. Well, actually, he came over like during the main event and everything. He hung out with myself, my daughter. Like, it's been unique to meet a lot of people through this that I've gotten to, like with Royal Rumble and getting to meet CPG and McGruber and, you know, Smith, well, not Smith, but like there's fucking, I'm going to get killed for this one. Super Beard. Infamous. Like, it was a cool time. And, you know, if it wasn't for what we do, I wouldn't have never even knew who the hell those guys are. And CPG is one of the greatest human beings on the planet. I miss him on TikTok, but I understand why he left.
Yeah. What possessed you or enticed you to join TikTok and become a creator and all that stuff?
Fucking Nick Harrison, the professor, Mr. Professor. I put on the comment, he left a comment on the video that I released tonight. And he put, you know, go get it, bro. I'm proud of you. And I commented, no matter what, this is all your fault. Professor and I go back almost 6 years now of knowing each other. Him and I met doing E-Feds, and we were cutting promos on each other. And that's how Nick and I met each other. And that's how he developed the Professor, was through that world. I wasn't Panda. I was the franchise then. And in that world, that's what I was known by. But Professor, that name was always there. And Professor and I were both doing our own things. We always were great friends. Nick's always been a wonderful guy. He's been there with me through some dark shit in my life. But it would have been, well, hell, let's see. My 1 year was June 1st. So it would have been last February, March. Nick would be messaging me, telling me, you know, just give TikTok a shot. Hey, look at me. Look what I'm doing. If I'm able to do this, there's surely a place for your ass. Hey, you have as much charisma as I do. Just, you're not as pretty as me. Like, all right, kiss my ass. And I fast forward to June, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It was like 11 o'clock noon, and I saw like people like aiming Nerf guns at each other. Like, you know what? I can do this. So I went out on my back deck with my son's little Nerf sniper rifle and just acted like I was engaging the shot. Like, that was it. I honestly, I didn't get into doing wrestling TikTok till like September of last year. Yeah. I've only been doing wrestling TikTok for about 9 months. Before I got into wrestling TikTok, I was doing like 90s videos of like, did you know this person was in this shit? Or the one video that went viral of my dad, because my dad looks like Earl Sinclair from Dinosaurs on ABC in the 90s. Like, spitting image. My dad even wears the red and black plaid shirt like Earl does. It's really fucking scary. But that would have been a week on to being on TikTok, and then that week I had 1,000 followers. And that video alone had like 75,000 views within 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, maybe there is a place for me here. Nick might have been right, and this is only my 5th video I've done.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, in around September, mid-September time, I got really bored doing the 90s shit because I felt like it wasn't me. And I was watching Infamous Opinionist a lot. I was a big fan of his, and I was watching Lou Nonsense too because that motherfucker will make me laugh with all his stuff. And I saw Jade's opinions. I was like, and I think the one that drew me to wrestling TikTok was when he said the Brood's music sucked. And I immediately was like,
what?
Well, allow me to introduce myself to wrestling TikTok.
Right.
And once I did, this shit became a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I never would have thought 95% of the shit that's happened would have happened in the last 9 months.
It's wild. It's crazy. You know, my beginnings are a little bit weird. It falls along the lines, dude. I absolutely hated TikTok. Like, and I'll be honest, I hated TikTok. My kids, I seen trends that they were watching, trends that they were doing, and I was like, humanity's going downhill fast.
Yep.
Exactly. And then my wife would watch TikTok, and next thing I know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, like while I'm gaming, she's listening to videos, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So this is weird. So I'm like listening and I'm laughing along, whatever. And next thing I know, she watches this video where this woman had lost her husband to addiction, and the husband left a note behind, and it hit me in the soul, dude. Like, I was crying. I was like, oh fuck, this sucks and it hurts. And then I started thinking, I was like, well, if there's a lot of pain, I can do some good because I've got certifications. And so that's when I started making content, and I made one video that I was in my feels, and I needed just somebody to be there and talk to. And, you know, my wife was at work, whatever. And I did my sit with me video, and that shit blew up over the weekend to 1.3 million.
I still can't get that number at all.
I haven't been able to replicate it, and I figured out it's because it's the authenticity of it. You know, yeah. It's the emotion driven behind it, the authenticity, and I don't know if this is a word, but I used it earlier. The genuinity of the whole situation. That's my word. I used it. Genuinity. But you know, and I've met some amazing people. You know, obviously I got to meet you. I got to meet. You know, talk to Wheezy and Heel Kevin and Smithception and all these other great wrestling TikTok creators, and it's just awesome. I mean, even Sledge is a good dude, super awesome guy. You know,
dude. Okay, you bring up him. I need to tell you the story of how him and I first met.
Oh boy.
So I did the, we'll say, destruction of a kingdom video. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm not giving that fucker credit. So we'll go with destruction of a kingdom. And I was at work the next day, and Heel Kevin messaged me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, man, we need to talk. And I was just like, oh, shit. If Kevin's messaging me out of the blue, because this was before Kevin and I became really cool. And I was just like, fuck, if Kevin's messaging me and I know that heel name's together, this isn't going to be a good conversation. And he's like, dude, I got to say, I fucking love you. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah,
dude, my friend Sledge even saw that video and thinks that it is the greatest shit of all time. Like, are we talking Ring of Honor, Sledge? Yes, we're talking Ring of Honor, Sledge. Like, what?
Nice.
And fast forward now, I was just talking with Sledge and texting with him yesterday. He knew the news of the video I was dropping yesterday, just because I needed to get some people's ideas, especially ones that are in the business that can kind of talk about my health injuries, to make sure that, you know, all right, yeah, you're making a smart decision, or, you know, this is going to be rash. Like, I have to go to people that I trust in those situations, and Sledge is one of those people I trust in this situation. Same way with Zach Monstar. Wonderful human being. If you don't know who he is, he's on TikTok too. He's an independent wrestler in Fort Myers, Florida. He's been a hell of, like, that was the first time I ever got to run the ropes, was in Zach's ring. So
Nice.
I've gotten to do that a little bit. And when I was running, he's like, dude, you're fucking natural running the ropes. Well, yeah, I've watched it enough. I should be able to know how to bounce off the ropes. Jesus Christ.
Right.
But like, it's cool, and it's so insane to think of, like, looking in my phone book now from a year ago, and like, there's Bill Alfonso, there's Vito, there's Sledge, like,
Yeah.
on and on and on and on. It's just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. It's
Why
crazy.
is this last week? Why is this? Because I literally am just basically being an American John Oliver at this point. Like,
Yeah.
why is this working so well?
Pretty much. So, hard-hitting question. When did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
Oh, fuck. I can't tell you the exact moment, but I can tell you how long it's been, because in my family, I didn't have like a big brother growing up or anybody that I kind of like modeled myself after, but I had my uncle, which was my mom's brother. He was 16, or he is 16 years older than me. I'm not gonna say like he's gone, because he's still here. Like, and he was always the big brother to me. And he got me into watching football and sports and playing video games, and then into wrestling. And a lot of my earliest memories are all wrestling related. I remember being 4 or 5 years old, and I was front row at a WWF event, and I was on my uncle's shoulders wearing my Hulk Hogan bandana. And the only things I remember from that is seeing Ricky the Dragon Steamboat blow in the fire, Warlord and Barbarian, and the goddamn Bushwhackers came down and licked my head.
That's funny. My first memory of life, and I mean this, my first memory of life is watching Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania. And
mine's right up there, but it's not Hogan and Andre, it's Liger and Pillman.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I'm a huge Jushin Thunder Liger guy.
He's amazing.
Fun fact, amazing. That dude did a video for me.
Really?
In the EFED world, there is a guy who actually helps run FSW in Las Vegas. His name's Rocky T. Rocky was in the EFED world with us, and he still kind of does his own thing too, but he has a huge promotion. Like Chris Bay trained there, Karrion Kross has been there. Jushin Thunder Liger did an event there, and he knows I'm a Jushin mark, and he's like, hey dude, I wanted to send you a surprise. And there's Jushin Thunder Liger trying to talk to me, trying to talk through the dialect and everything, and just like,
that is amazing.
And in my hallway, right outside the door, is 2 separate 8x10s autographed by Jushin Thunder Liger.
That's amazing.
Right above it is the Rainmaker.
Nice. So, yeah, I grew up, dude, an absolute wrestling fanatic, dude. Like, my life was encapsulated by wrestling. Yeah, dude. And then I got wrestling taken away from me, and I told this story earlier in my last one, but I was like 4 or 5. My sister was 3, and I gave her the Hulk Hogan leg drop. Just fucking out of nowhere. There was no warning. Boom. Yeah. And my grandma was like, okay, no more wrestling. And my grandpa would sneak me down to the basement to watch wrestling from time to time. The next thing that I remember is watching WrestleMania 14, Undertaker and Kane in the Inferno match.
Yeah. And
I was like sucked back into it. And then they took it away again. And then I moved up with my dad in Pennsylvania, and my first pay-per-view back was WCW Starrcade 97 with Hogan and Sting. And that, for me, is my favorite pay-per-view of all time. I don't care what anybody says, how shitty the ending was, how much interference the NWO had. That is my heart. And my favorite match, my favorite match on that show is Eddie and Dean, hands down. And that's the opening match.
It's funny that you mentioned WCW, because I've only said this story one time in private. And it's actually to the guy that I'm going to tell the story about. So back in 97, it was the day after Scott Hall won World War III. Monday Nitro was in Saginaw, Michigan, which is like 45 minutes from where I'm at. My uncle actually got tickets for me and him to go to Nitro. And while we're there, like they're doing the Scott Hall celebration, they have the confetti coming down with like the flyers they used to drop. I have one of those flyers still at my mom's house, the 8x10 with it's Eric Bischoff pinning Larry Zbyszko and Scott Hall's counting to 3. I still have that. But the memory I had is I remember watching the Mamalukes wrestle while I was there because I really loved Johnny the Bull and I loved Big Vito back then because I just thought they were fucking badasses. And then we fast forward the clock 20 years later, and here I am every week. I do 2 shows a week with Vito. How life can be so full circle where you can just reflect on your childhood and be like, what the fuck?
How did I get here?
What is this?
How did I get here?
I can't be anything but grateful anymore.
Yeah. Going up through the years, you know, being a professional wrestling fan and stuff like that, when were you absolutely sold? Like 100%, like this is what I love. This is going to be a passion of mine.
Okay, so I got to ask you a question back before I can fully explain that. Are we talking, when did I think that I could make this a possibility?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God's honest truth, not until recently. Because growing up, this will elaborate on my medical story a little. I was always told I could never play football. I could never do high school sports. Because I had 2 brain surgeries when I was born. Well, I was 7 months old when I had the surgeries born because I was born with 2 brain tumors. So when I was 7 months old, I had the surgery, but my mom was always, you know, super protective because she didn't want a solid shot to mess everything up, which I completely get. So it always like casted a shadow of doubt over me with everything. Cause it's always like, I know I should be there, but I'm over here still. It was always like, it always came across like a crack dream to me.
Yeah.
And then I would say over the last 60 days, it's become more of a holy shit, this can really happen, even though I'm at like DDP age. Something's happening here, and it's, I don't want to stop the cyclone, but I don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's kind of awesome and it's shitty at the same time because with my videos, they're very controlled and I control my environment, and having something that is completely countercultural, even for me, is otherworldly. You
got to trust the guy across the ring from you.
I got to trust 19 other guys across the ring from me.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I'm in a battle royal, dog. Like,
yeah, you're in the battle royal. That's crazy. And we'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
But something I want to ask, and
absolutely.
I don't know. You probably gotten this question before.
Sure.
Pat McAfee. What brought that on? What made you shoot your shot with Pat McAfee? And actually tell backstory about that.
Okay. Let's talk about McAfee for a minute before I get into how the whole shit happened. I've always adored McAfee ever since he was at West Virginia playing punter with Pat White and Steve Slayton and all those guys. Like, because you never saw a punter that tried to have swagger. It was always just, all right, good day. Like, he would always come out and he would try to be different. And it was always just, it was always, I want to keep my eye on that guy. Even though he's not the biggest dude on the field, he's making the most ruckus. And then when he retired and decided to start gambling on himself a little bit and doing his own show, and then seeing how that kind of skyrocketed, I followed it for a while. And then when COVID happened and everybody had the time to basically just be home, I was watching his show religiously. And then I became almost like I was doing my homework on Pat. and like watching the stand-up special, finding out more and wanting to, like, everything was interesting. Like watching them rip the roof off the MetLife and like fuck Boston Connor from the other day, like that whole shift from then to now. But it all happened by happenstance, and it's all, I don't know what the hell happened that day in the universe where it all lined up. But I was off that day from work and I was home and I was watching the show, and always toward the end of the show, once they close like the XM side of it, him and AJ just kind of bullshit around for a few minutes and then they close the show. They got to the last couple of minutes and I was like cleaning my house. Like I remember shutting off the vacuum as I heard this, and he's like, hey, if anybody knows anybody, we're looking for bookers for the show. Just let us know if you guys could recommend anybody. I'm just like, I'm anybody.
Yeah.
And then I had to develop a plan really quick because I knew the attention span was going to be very short for what I was going to be able to do. So I did the video where I called him out, and that shit went way quicker than I thought it was gonna. To the point where the very next day, him and Tone are talking about me on the show, and Connor too, and like Pat saying how he adores my heart or my passion and, you know, shit like that, and Tone being annoyed by my fucking presence, like, and Boston Connor respecting me. Like, that's insane to think that they know me. And that so many people went to bat to try and get his attention. Like, here's the thing that nobody knows. I don't even know if I can actually say this, but we're going to say this because I apologize to my friend if he's going to end up watching this podcast. The amount of powerful people that reached over to the McAfee camp was ungodly. I will give you a clue, but I can't say a name.
Okay.
So Birmingham, Alabama, there is a doctor there that does a lot of surgeries. That doctor might have called a 3-lettered person on my behalf to reach out to McAfee.
No way.
Yeah, I have proof. Yeah,
Wow.
It reached all the way to that level where 3-lettered people knew who I was. To now. And it's just like, well, shit is happening, huh? Like, this escalated quickly.
A certain hunter.
Yeah, we'll say he was a outdoorsman person.
Okay.
His terror was rising back in the day.
He's very cerebral.
Yeah, he was a cerebral person. You'd almost say he was an assassin at times. But yeah, that person knows.
He liked to play games. He likes to play games.
He's a real game master. He got a call from a doctor in Alabama on my behalf.
That's insane.
Which is just, wild to think that the doctor knows who I am too, through a friend of mine on TikTok. And I won't say his name because I don't want to get him in trouble or have people, start blowing him up. But like, holy shit. I had to take a couple moments there and I called one of my best friends and I'm like, dude, shit happened. He's like, what, did Pat call you? A little bit bigger, I think, at this point.
Yeah. That's insane, dude.
That thing. So the McAfee thing, and people have asked me, and I did one video about it, like, what happened with it since? Your guys' guess is as good as mine. There was radio silence since that day. And recently they did a spot where they talked about Kevin. And Kevin, wonderful dude, one of my great buddies. And to see them giving him recognition is awesome now, too. Because now they're starting to recognize us in the wrestling side of TikTok instead of just, oh, here's another viral dancer, or here's this stupid shit, or here's this tragedy. Like, here's something where it's just like, it's a hobby, but that person's saying, what the hell? So that's kind of dope that we're breaking through to another side that none of us thought we could have a year ago. Hell, I didn't think we could a year ago. I wasn't even on this fucking side of the team then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to think about it, it's crazy that you have a national figure such as Pat McAfee, talking about you on a show that everybody hears.
Yeah.
And you're like, and even like when your video came out and said he recognized me, I went and checked it out and watched the whole thing, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, that's all I did.
Wow.
I was at work, okay, and it got to the 3 o'clock hour, and I remember I was sitting with a patient in the room, and I always had my phone is always on vibrate while I'm at work, and most of the time it's just always on vibrate, period. I'm sitting there with a patient and just like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm thinking like I got a family emergency. I get done with the patient, I hurry up and sneak out of the room, and I just sneak into one of the other rooms. And I look at my phone, and it's one of my co-hosts. Like, dude, he talked about you. They talked about you. Like, bullshit. He's like, go to this timestamp. This is the time spot. Till this time, they're talking about you. All right, so I'm sitting. I go into the bathroom and lock the door. Like, Matt's gonna be a minute. I'll be right back. Matt had Taco Bell, and I'm sitting like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
And like everything kind of started there. That's like I've always prided myself with what I've done, and I've said it. I like being grassroots. Like, this is what you see. I don't have an elaborate setup, and it's kind of just because I'm poor. But it also because I want the message to come from here and not from here. So that's part of like why I enjoy the grassroots style that I do, even though this is live from my daughter's bedroom. This is my daughter's bedroom that I do everything from. She just lets me do it. I had a grassroots kind of swell already going all the way up until January. Then that shit happened. And then it started coming up, and then Pat just, and I hope we still get that chance in Indy soon.
Yeah.
Kevin and I are really trying. Kevin is building that custom world title for Pat. It's getting made right now. And he wants to present that to Pat if we lose. Which I think at this point, he just wants to give it to him if we can be in his presence. And Kevin said he'll be driving up from Georgia for that. I would be driving from Michigan down. So it's only like 5 hours for me to get to Indy. So it would be well worth the time for me. I don't give a damn. But it's cool. It's one of those things where I'm going to sound hubrisy, but at the same point, I don't care. It's one of those things that's kind of bigger than me. Because I like seeing people like Steven's wrestling journey on TikTok. Steven is one of the sweetest little kids I've ever got to talk to, and he wants me on his show too, and I'm going to be on with Steven here shortly. But like seeing people like him messaging me saying how the stuff that I do inspires him to do what he does, or, you know, I've talked with so many people. I've gotten messages even just today from people saying, thank you. I'm doing this podcast now because of you. Like, that shit I have no words for. I never would have thought of that from the beginning. Like, all the cool shit that is happening to me, super dope. I'm kind of just living in the moment, and just hopefully we can make it to July. But like with seeing the amount of people that are inspired now, and they don't feel like they're sitting in a shadow of darkness, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Knocking down those walls where everybody feels a lot more accepted, and seeing so many new creators just randomly develop. It's fantastic to see just the amount of people from across the world that have kind of just, hi, we're all here. Yeah. And it's been amazing to watch, even as an insider looking out, as an outsider looking in too, because I know friends of mine, family that kind of watch my stuff. Which is kind of weird at the same time, but whatever. Because I still have to talk to them as Matt.
Yeah.
But seeing so many people like Steven, like Wheels Wrestling, like I could name off probably 6 or 7 more people where they're just, I'm doing this because of you, or you inspired this, or thank you for being that. Like, I didn't try to be anything.
You just are. It's
just what I've been brought up to be. I I've had a fucked up life that made it to where I'm at through the brain surgeries, through the divorce, through my suicide attempt a few years back to where I am now. Like 4 years ago, I was sitting, or 3 years ago, it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was sitting in my car preparing to go. And Zach Monstar, JD Drake of AEW, they both they're both good friends of mine through the EFED world. And then James didn't really, we talked, but we didn't talk a lot. He happened to message me during all of that, and he knew something was wrong with me, and he'd never let me go. And same way with Monstar and Professor. Those three guys helped keep me alive. So like, when I sit here and I see people like Professor who are out here just absolutely thriving and getting recognized by Tom Morello and Five Finger Death Punch, and the fucking NFL recognized him today. Yeah. What? I am beyond proud of that man, because as much as people think I'm a great human being, Nick Harrison is absolutely one of the greatest men on this planet. He is not some actor, character, whatever it is you see on his videos that he does. He is that genuine human being all day, every day. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be on TikTok. If it wasn't for Zach, JD, and Nick, I wouldn't probably be here, period. So like, it's cool to see JD thriving with AEW, Nick killing it with every social media and just blazing down the doors. And I'm just kind of walking down behind him now, like, ooh, this is nice. And then seeing Zach owning Real Pro Wrestling in Fort Myers and seeing his upcoming match in August against our good buddy Sledge. It's so great to see your family thriving too. Because it's very much the company you keep. But it's one of those things where with this, we have a very unique brotherhood of us EFED people. And even though some of us hated each other and we didn't get along and all this shit, the amount of EFED people, the brothers and sisters from them that kind of all are there for Nick and I, and, you know, we're all there for JD and we all are there for Zach. And it's kind of cool to see that fraternity is still there, even if as I've left that game for over a year now. It's cool to see the change and the impact that can be left.
You talked about change, and there's something that I do want to bring to light about the change that you are doing along with some other pro TikTok or pro wrestling TikTok creators. And that is taking the toxicity out of being a professional wrestling fan. And that is one of the other things that attracted me to you, was the fact that, you know, pro wrestling fans, we inherently are toxic as shit.
We're fit, motherfucker.
We loved the fact that Kofi Kingston won the title, but hated his title run. And then we'll bag on everybody but the person, you know, bad booking, terrible booking, and fuck WWE, we're not gonna watch it. Or like you know, the death match between Mox and Omega, and we loved it. It was absolutely shit at the end. You know, fucked up AEW, we're not gonna ever watch it again. And you embrace this idea of, why can you not like everything, or pick and choose what you like and leave the rest? And that's what I absolutely adore about you as a creator, and everybody that does that is that you give voice. And I'm going to say this: voice to the voiceless. Yes, absolutely. You give voice to the voiceless for those of us that don't have a voice or feel like we don't have a voice, and say, you know, fuck all you toxic dudes. You know, why can't you enjoy all this? And that's why I enjoy like you and Wheezy and everybody that you mentioned, is like, it's not, why can't we just enjoy anything that we like? Like, dude, I fucking love Cowboy Brock Lesnar. Absolutely enjoyed it. And I can tell you, another dude down the road would be like, fuck you, that's not really Brock Lesnar. Well, it really is. You know, I'm sorry, but that's really who he is.
Yeah.
that's who he is in real life, and he's just taking who he is in real life and putting it on TV.
That's why he had the most fun he ever had. You could tell.
He loved it.
Yeah, he was eating that shit up.
You could tell when he came out and him and Sami Zayn were doing their thing that he had so much fun.
Yeah, he loved that shit.
Yeah,
letting Brock just
and that's what I love about you and all the other creators on TikTok, is that you guys are being the voice for the voiceless and saying, hey, pro wrestling can be fun. You just have to let it be fun and stop being toxic.
See, like the best way. So, okay, how do I put this in a perspective? So when it comes to the nihilistic, tribalistic view of toxic wrestling fandom, I understand their argument. I do get their argument. I get why they need that little soapbox of freedom to speak on what they got to say. I get it. But my counter argument to them is, okay, where do you live? Oh, you live in Oklahoma, let's say. And it's no disrespect to anybody in Oklahoma. But oh, okay, I bet you probably watched or grew up with WWF or WCW, AWA, NWA, something like that, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. So you never really saw what like New Japan was doing or Progress Wrestling or all the other wonderful promotions that are out there, Dragon Gate, so many others.
Yeah.
No, because this is where the best wrestlers in the world come. You think every other country's promotion doesn't say the same shit? You think Japan's not sitting there saying Will Ospreay is the best damn wrestler in the world, and that's because he's in New Japan, just like they did with Omega and Styles and every other gaijin that came in. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. The top stars always go there because that's our nihilistic view of, well, America's the best, or this place is the best, or France, or I can't even make it through saying France is the best. But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's where trying to change the idea comes from, and change my whole thing has been trying to change the culture. And it started with the revolution. The revolutions came and gone now. Now it's about changing the culture. Now we can change the culture, and we have been changing the culture because, the amount of people that not necessarily are branching out and watching new wrestling promotions, but the amount of wrestling promotions that are coming out to the people now. And not just, the big four, let's say. We could throw Progress out there because they've been all over social media lately. Real Pro, ARW. There's so many damn promotions that are out there throwing shit out there for you and everybody to enjoy. My thing, I grew up loving people like Sting and Great Muta and Jushin Liger and Flair and the NWO and all of that shit. But I also got to really understand and respect the work of people like Kazuchika Okada. Yep. And that's why I personally think, and I will argue this with anybody as long as the day is, that Kazuchika Okada is the greatest professional wrestler that is living on this damn planet right now. Will Ospreay, people like that, they're up there. But there is only one damn Rainmaker.
And that's Okada.
And that is Okada, hands down. And I will argue that Punk is up there for me too. Punk is 1B to me, but Okada will always be the greatest professional wrestler, and I think probably of all time when he's done.
I would have to agree with you. Being up here in Alaska, it is fucking hard to get professional wrestling up here.
Dude,
and I mean, we had WWF come in, and I'm not originally from Alaska, but we had WWF come back in the early 90s, and then for nothing. Yep. And then we had WWE come when I first got here in 2017, and then after that we didn't have anything until 2019, and that was Wrestle Pro. That was Wrestle Pro out of New Jersey and New York, and they come at least. I mean, if you want to.
Look what I did with AEW. I called AEW out, and now they got 2 fucking shows in Michigan.
Yeah. The thing is we have Wrestle Pro that comes up here. Mm-hmm. And the guy that runs Wrestle Pro, Kevin Matthews, absolutely amazing dude. He brought up Mick Foley, which is one of the best interactions I've ever had with a professional wrestler.
What's the Scarlett up there too?
Scarlett, she came up here twice. They actually got married up here on the glacier. We had them. We had We had Tommy Dreamer. I bumped shoulders with Tommy Dreamer, Sammy Callahan. They actually did a show in like a Harley Davidson factory or like store. Yeah. And Sammy Callahan sat right behind me, and I looked at him. I said, "Hey man, I really appreciate the work that you get to do," because we don't get those interactions with people. And so it's super, super fucking awesome to see when they do come up here. The next show, they're having DDP come up here. And they were supposed to have like the Acclaimed, but because of some things, it didn't work out. So they're working on bringing other people. Yeah, working on bringing other people. But, you know, I'll tell you a story real quick before we move on of the best interaction I had with anybody. And this is why he is my favorite wrestler, fucking period. And that's no disrespect to Okada, because I think Okada is the best wrestler alive, but my favorite. 2011, I lived in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when I was active duty, and they did Tribute to the Troops. And so they offered free tickets to service members. All you got to do is show up, and if you show up your first 800 soldiers, you get free upgraded seats. I was down for it. I'm for it. I love it. We overshot the entrance, and we went to turn around, and as we're turning around, we see them shoot this Slim Jim commercial with Rey Mysterio, Big Show, and Eve Torres. Yep. And so like we stop and we get to watch and interact with them. And I had already met Rey Mysterio the day before, but he was super cool and he remembered me. And I was like, that's awesome. Big Show was super funny. We all know that. So we get back to the arena, and the show doesn't start till 8. We show up at 11. Like, I'm standing in fucking line because I want upgraded seats. And this guy comes out maybe 20 minutes after we get there, and he's like, I need 6 soldiers to come down and help me out with this detail. And I'm just happy that I'm there, so I volunteer. And I go inside, and he puts us in this elevator, and he's like, you guys are going to really enjoy this detail. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. Like, I'm used to cleaning shit, so whatever you got is like going to make me happy. And we get down to the garage level. And I think you know where this goes. We get to the garage level, and he takes us outside to the loading dock. And he's like, your guys' detail is to meet and greet everybody that comes through here. Dude, I almost fainted. Like, Randy absolutely. Marsh. Just God. Yeah, almost fucking lost it. And so we're standing out there. And I got to meet Cody. I got to meet Booker, Michael Cole, Billy Kidman when he worked in the back. I'm pretty sure he still does. Yeah, Vince, still met Vince. I got to meet Vince and John Laurinaitis. I didn't get to meet Triple H or Stephanie. That's one of the things. But we're sitting there talking, and everybody knew I'm a Punk fan. And this was in like right after Money in the Bank. Oh, yeah. After he walked out with the title. Yep. And I'm standing there and we're talking about it. And one of my buddies is like, hey man, don't freak out. Punk is right behind you. And mind you, the guy that brought us down there said, don't yell at anybody. Don't yell at the superstars. If they want to come and talk to you, they will. And I turn around and I see him, and instantly that left me. Mind you, I'm in uniform, dude. Like, maroon beret on, ready to go. And I'm like, Punk, like, dude, just everything in me, Punk, like con, but like Punk, right? He turns around and he looks at me and he's like, hey. And as he's walking over, the dude who put us on his details walking over, right, angry as shit, and they intersect, and this dude goes to start to yell at me, and Punk's like, no, you leave him be. And Punk sits there and he's like, hey man, what's up? I was like, dude, I have been a fan of yours for as long as I can fucking remember. And like, and he was like, yeah, I was like, you know, I've watched everything that you have, you know, and I am absolutely in awe of you and your presence. This dude literally did not want to talk about himself. He was like, hey man, tell me about you. Tell me about what you do. And what? Is that even fucking possible? Somebody that I watch on TV sitting there, not wanting to talk about him, but wanting to talk about me. And he sat with me for an hour, dude, an hour of his time where he didn't have to. He could have gone inside. Yeah. Dude, it's December and it's cold as shit. He could have gone inside and he didn't. He hung out with me. My daughter's mom called And she's like, who are you talking to? Because she can look down and see. I'm like, oh, I'm talking to Punk. And he's like, is that your wife? And I was like, yeah, that, he's like, let me talk to her. So I handed him the phone. And dude talked to her on the phone and was like, hey, after the show, I'm going to be on the stage and I'll come down and hang out with you guys. And I'm like, it's bullshit, whatever. He's just saying that. And he almost gave one of the females a GTS. He like picked her up and spun her around. I was like, GTS. And then, yeah, he lifted her up and was like, I'm just playing. But, we go in, we got upgraded seats because we left our family. Like I got ringside seats for doing that, which I was ecstatic about. And when he comes out for his big 6-man tag with him, Cena, and I can't remember who's on the other, on this team, but then it was like Big Show, Alberto Del Rio, and Mark Henry. Christian, maybe. I think it was Christian.
Yeah, Christian.
He turns and he finds us in the crowd and he takes his shirt off and throws it at my wife. And this dude stuck his hand up, snagged it, and he's like, no, and points to her, and he gave her the shirt.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that is badass, dude. And after the show, he's like sitting there up on the stage and like we're turning around. Cena's giving a speech. Disclaimer, I'm not a Cena fan at all. Fuck Cena, and it has nothing to do with him as a performer. Mm-hmm. But turn around and he finds us in the crowd and he waves at us. And I was like, me? And he's like, yes, you. And he waves at me. And I was like, hey, dude. And he comes down after and sits with us, doesn't talk to anybody else, sits with us and just bullshits with us for 20 minutes. And I was like, this man right here is the reason why I will forever be a Punk fan. And when he left, I was devastated. Yeah. And when he came back, I sat in my living room on my floor and fucking cried like a little infant.
Yep. I was at my table like, this is finally happening.
Yeah, I ran into I was starting to hyperventilate, and I ran into my room, and my wife was, just getting off work, changing, whatever. And I'm like, he's back. And like, mind you, I wasn't with my wife at that time. Like we had only been married up to like 3 years at that point, at this point. And she's like, who's back? And she sticks her head out and she's like, oh, I'm like, he's fucking back. And I'm just sitting there just losing my shit, dude. And it was the most amazing feeling that I've ever had. It's like you lose your dog and your dog comes back to you. Not that Punk's a dog, but you lose your best friend. Your best friend comes back to you 7 years later. All that emotion is just.
It's funny because like with Punk, you hear so many stories about people saying he's a dick or he's an ass. Da 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 da. I haven't got to meet Punk yet, but like the shit is funny because you and I have so many parallel stories of shit that happened. Not necessarily I didn't serve or anything like that. I randomly met Sting and Jeff Jarrett and AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, and Christian. I was going to Bound for Glory 2006, and it was the Impact's first event outside of Orlando, and it was in Detroit. And I was there, and my uncle and my buddy and we drove down, and we're clam baking the whole fucking ride. And we get there, and we get to the parking lot like, man, the show's in like an hour and a half. What the hell are we going to do? Because normally you see like people tailgating and shit. There's nobody there. We go inside. Wow. We're the first ones in line at the door. Like, oh, okay, whatever. So we're just standing there talking. All of a sudden we turn around. Here comes Jeff Jarrett walking by. And I'm just like, you're the world heavyweight champion. And all of a sudden, here comes Sting. Here comes AJ. And I got to stop AJ for a second. I'm like, holy shit. What the fuck are you guys doing? And he's like, we didn't know where the wrestler's entrance was, so we just came through the front door. Wow. What? He's like, yeah, Samoa Joe's coming right now. All of a sudden, I look over, and there's Joe walking by like, what the fuck is going on? It ended
Absolute
up being,
madness.
Those guys in America's Most Wanted ended up all walking by like, hey, guys, what's going on? And it was just the three of us standing there at the door because not even security had came out yet to us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were that fucking stoned, dude.
Wow. Damn.
Great show.
I do have to share one more story before we move on, and it's about Mick Foley. And I don't know if you've had the pleasure of meeting Mick.
Not yet. I will.
Mick is one of the nicest people, hands down, that I've ever met. when they came up here and they did a show up here, all I wanted to do was go up and say, hey, man, thank you for creating a wrestling fan of my wife. And I mean that because my wife, when her and I first met, I was like, hey, I'm a professional wrestling fan. That's a bit taboo. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, you don't have to be. She looked at me and she was like, show me the most fucked up thing that you can show me. Say no more. So I showed her Mick and Vader, Mick and Undertaker.
I wish Lady Panda could have took some notes about that.
I showed her, Mick and Vader. I showed her Mick and Undertaker, Mick and Kane, dude, like everything that I could. And she became a wrestling fan because of Mick Foley. And he was like, what do you mean? And I told him. And he's like, so you showed her all the fucked up matches. I was like, well, that's what she asked for, so that's what she got. And my wife is standing behind me like 3 feet. And he's like, hey, young lady, come here. And he brings her up to the table. And he's like, you see this right here? And he pulls his hair away, and there's the ear that's missing. And he's like, and he starts going through all of the injuries in his body and showing her. And he's like, I did it all for you guys. And I almost got emotional. And he's like, he was like, when are you guys getting married? And it just so happened we were getting married the next month. And he's like, okay, well, consider this an early wedding present. He signs a picture for free. He hadn't stood up all night for anybody to take pictures, and he stood up for us. And that we have a shrine to Mick Foley upstairs in my living room, like, because he's such an amazing human. Yeah, you have a shrine,
dude. I have so many themed rooms in my house. We have a Nintendo bathroom. We have a bathroom that's all riddled out in the office.
Nice.
My daughter's room is all horror movie themed. So there's different horror movie posters all around the wall. I have my wrestling hallway right outside this door. I have a Batman and Joker hallway over by the master bedroom. My house is big. But like every room has a theme to it. So it's kind of cool to walk into the Nintendo bathroom and you see a whole Mario level on the walls around you because I put stickers.
That's awesome.
To design it. Like it makes it so it's kind of unique. Like my Batman and Joker hallway is dope as shit. My wrestling hallway, if you enjoy wrestling, it's super cool. If not, you kind of walk by and like, why do you see this dude like jumping over the top rope looking crazy and it's Kenny Omega?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to live in what you enjoy living in.
Yep. And I realize that now.
Yeah. And that's why I try to tell people, like, don't do anything because anybody else wants you to. Do it because you want to and because you love it. Yep. And if you stop loving it, then stop doing it.
It's the last day you do it.
Absolutely. And you talked about themed areas or themed rooms. Like I have a whole themed area, like over by my TV is nothing but wrestling. Like I got pops all over the fucking place. I got pops
over my TV too.
Yep. I got a Bullet Club flag right behind my TV and posters on the walls.
I've got the Bullet Club Young Bucks right next to the TV.
Nice. I got the pops like Young Bucks Bullet Club sitting on top of my
top left right by the TV, and then I got the Fiend down in the bottom right.
Nice. I actually have a Fiend standee right over here. Yeah, if you get look, I mean. I bought this. You can't really see it because of the sun, but I bought it after WrestleMania, like last year. Not this past year, but the one before.
It's so ironic.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then my wife loves dinosaurs, and we have a dinosaur dedicated area. She loves horses. We have a horse dedicated area, and we got a family wall. We're fucking nerds, dude, and I love it now. To the day I die, I'm a fucking nerd. Yep. And I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me because I would much rather be a nerd and enjoy something than live my life hating everything.
You bring up a wonderful point with that. Because growing up, I always did what everybody else wanted me to do. I went to college for one day. One day. I didn't even properly drop out of my classes. I was just like, fuck this. I'm never coming back again because I went for what my family wanted, which was like medical. And the second I heard, with phlebotomy, we just practice on each other. Hard pass.
Yeah.
Not really. But because of like doing what I love now, when I got divorced a few years ago, it's been about 2.5 years since the divorce. My daughter and I, of course, it's very hard on her. and her and I became distant for a while. And growing up, she loved wrestling. Like, she loved The Miz. The Miz was her dude. She actually just admitted to me like a few months ago, she's like, honestly, The Miz and Justin Bieber were my first crushes. Like, well, that's an odd combo, but all right, I'll take it out of it. But she fell out of wrestling because of the divorce and all of that stuff, and I completely understood. Back in January, one of my best friends, he messaged me. He's like, hey, man, do you got any plans this weekend? Like, no, why? He's like, you're going to GCW. I got you 2 tickets. Here, have fun. Like, I planned on taking my son because he's 9. He kind of tries to enjoy wrestling because he knows dad loves it too. But my daughter was like, if you don't mind, I'll give it a shot. Oh, okay, fuck. All right, get the car. And we get to GCW, and I'm kind of nervous about it because I know GCW. But I'm friends with MLJ, the announcer for GCW. And her and I are watching the show, and it goes to intermission, and Emil's walking around. And he's like, Panda, and walks over and just starts talking to me. And she's like, how do you know these people? Dad's doing some shit. And the very next match after intermission was Bussy, which is Allie Ketch and Effie.
Yeah.
And she was hooked immediately. The second they started playing WAP, she's like, what? And then watching Allie, watching Effie, and she became addicted to pro wrestling in that moment. And it was so beautiful to have that moment. And I had it on my TikTok for a while, and I ended up taking it down just because, privacy. But to see that radiance that I remember me having so long ago, seeing it through her, made everything that I'm doing worth it. Because, now since January, she's gotten to hang out and meet Allie and Effie a few different times. She wants to go to every GCW that's in Michigan or near her now, and it's only me and her that can go. She doesn't want other people interrupting it. Like, that's something, like, if it wasn't for TikTok and everybody and people like, yourself, like, none of this shit would be happening. Forbidden Door. I'm going to Forbidden Door, and I did not buy my ticket.
Oh, wow.
One of my followers bought me the ticket to Forbidden Door.
That's awesome.
AEW, when they're coming to Grand Rapids, I have a ticket. I had my ticket confirmed yesterday, and tickets didn't go on to sale until today.
Wow.
Like, what? And
what?
then when I get the message from the other day from I know what you're going to be coming into here soon, like, all I can keep saying is, what the hell is going on? And, like, my inner circle of people amongst me, like, Lady Panda, like I mentioned, and my kids, like, everybody's like, what's next? Kind of looking at me like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
We're just on a rocket. Wherever this shit goes, we're going now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, you just fly by the seat of your pants, man. Sometimes that's the best option.
Seeing the joy out of my daughter, and not just like for her, I had a little selfish moment too, because I referenced how I was the franchise and eFeds. One of my followers is actually trained by Shane Douglas. And I did a video about me doing eFeds, and that was my character. And I based it off of Shane a little bit in Punk. And he ended up showing Shane the video, and he was duetting Shane's response to me. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's awesome.
That's the real franchise. What the fuck?
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild, man.
It's so crazy, dude. Like, I never ever would have thought what's going on is going. Even though I can't hit 10,000 followers to save my damn life, it seems like everything else is something that's bigger than what my following is showing.
Yeah. Well, it'll happen. It'll happen. It's not about the numbers, man. It's about the content being produced, and you're making amazing content.
I appreciate the shit out of that, dude. It's a bitch.
Yeah,
mental health is a motherfucker. Because I don't talk. You want some real shit? I'll do some real shit for you. And I'm sorry I'm taking over your hosting for a minute.
Go for it.
I'm gonna put down the bong. Even I'm that serious. mental health, when it comes to what we do, I don't talk about my mental health when it comes to my video work. I actually was diagnosed for depression, diagnosed for anxiety. Like, I take medication for my mental health. It took me a while to find the right medication that kind of works for me. Shout out to Trintellix. But the big thing, I don't know if this gets seen by, 10 people, 1,000 people, whatever the hell it ends up seeing this. Take your mental health seriously. If you're afraid to get help, don't be. And to the people that, I'm going to talk to the other people, the people that love the people that are struggling, listen for a moment. When you see those people that are struggling, and that shit is falling down left and right on them, and that you don't know if they're going to end up going one way or the other at some point soon, don't let them say, I'm fine, and brush you off. So many of us as men have been built to program ourselves to just be like, I'm okay, when we're a fucking wreck inside. We as human beings and as men, and I'm not even just saying that in a sexist tone, just as men, we as human beings, as our nature, can sense when shit is wrong with another human being. If you sense that something is wrong, if you sense that somebody is needing help, do not let them give you no for a fucking answer and force them to get you help. You would rather have them be pissed off at you for the rest of your life than being at their funeral in the next few months of theirs.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you there, man. I had my own attempt. And I got to this point in 2018 where I felt like nobody gave a shit. And but then again, I was putting on a mask, so nobody really knew. No. I fed them that line that I'm okay, I'm fine. But it really, I was a fucking train wreck. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely correct. We don't really take our mental health seriously. And then when somebody does say that they're struggling, we kind of like, okay, well, I'm not qualified to deal with that.
Yeah,
well, that's bullshit.
Bastardized.
Yeah, that's bullshit, because you are qualified. If you know the person, you're qualified enough to say, all right, well, sit down, let's talk.
There's not a human being on this fucking planet that is not qualified to care.
Exactly. There's no certification. There's no degree in caring. Bingo. The only, and that's why I do what I do, man, is because I've seen so many fucking people fall down on their face and not have a leg to stand on. And I've done it myself. I care because who's going to care if I don't?
Exactly.
If I don't give a shit, then who else is going to?
It takes one person to start a revolution.
Exactly. And there's a slow burn revolution going on now of mental health, and I'm waiting for that motherfucker to catch fire, because once it does, it's going to be crazy.
Exactly.
And I get to go to Nashville in July, at the end of July, and talk about recovery and my own recovery in Nashville for a convention. And it's going to be awesome. I'm excited for it. But it just doesn't stop there, and it doesn't start there. It starts with, everybody caring. And one of the big things is like men's mental health, like you talked about. We have this condition where we say everything is fine because we have trust issues, because we have been burned in the past, but we don't take the time to try and attempt to trust people with our feelings and emotions.
Yeah. Fuck swallowing your pride.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so tired of growing up and, if somebody passed away, quit crying. Suck it up. Swallow your pride. Stiffen up your upper lip. Whatever the hell it may be. Why? Yeah. You're just as much human as he is, as she is, as I am. Whoever the hell it may be. Whatever you want to be. I don't give a damn. Like, people are... Like, I have a lot of people that follow me that are also LGBTQ. And I know that, and I've interacted with a lot of those people too. And I think, I love everybody. My thing, I don't care if you want to be whatever you want to be. As long as you are happy and your soul is fulfilled, cheers to you. Yeah. Like, I know people that I've read stories of people in Japan that have married robots or married, trees or whatever the hell it may be. And people want to bastardize for them. Okay, I get it. You want to make your cheap joke for your 3-second joy, but really, they don't give a shit. They're still happy.
Yeah. We've created these labels for ourselves in which we identify as, but we fail to identify as human being before we are anything else.
Yeah, because we're looking there than instead of here.
Yeah, when we start identifying as human being, that's when the empathy starts falling in place.
Bingo.
And that's what I'm working so fucking hard to break is that thought that, you know, you can't be human for 5 minutes and make sure somebody's okay.
Yeah, that's a crock of shit to me. And it's hard. I get it. Me too. Like there's some days where it's just, and you'll see, because you'll see dry spells of my content where I am not on there for 5 days, 6 days a week. It's because I'm taking that mental time, because I was turning and burning content. I've within a year I did almost 1,000 videos.
Yeah.
That's bastardized levels of numbers that I should be doing. And but I wanted to bring that change, that culture, and have a different kind of voice, and seeing people that are confident to step out of the camera now, and they're not wanting to tilt the camera down and talk just like this, where the phone's pointed at their ceiling. They're actually having the confidence to speak, or having people. I have a couple followers of mine that are both hospital ridden right now. One of them has a trach tube. One of them recently had a limb removed. And they're telling me how I inspire them. Are you out of your fucking mind? You inspire me.
Yeah. That's inspiring.
I've had my surgeries. I've had my, risks or my brushes with the death and all that shit. But like, you're going through it now, and instead of focusing on all the negativity that you are dealing with, you're trying to still be looking at it in a positive light. So if anything, fuck me. Kudos and cheers to you.
Absolutely.
If people like Jade or Infamous Opinionist, they have a very positive bringing when they want to be, and it's a very emotionally driven impact that they can bring. People like I've seen on so many of my comments on my videos of, this guy can cut a hell of a promo, or man, that was a hell of a promo. I'm not cutting a promo.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if you guys actually saw me cut a wrestling promo, you'd be fucking amazed at what I talk like.
Right.
If you get me to be natural Panda, I am a real smug son of a bitch.
Yeah. But
so
this is who you are, and this is, and that's amazing. Now gets to the portion of the show I didn't tell you about.
Oh God, here you go. Yeah, you did tell me there was a section that I wasn't going to be told.
Yeah. All right. This section is where I give my guests compliments.
Oh, God damn it. I hate this.
Yes. And that's, and the reason why I give people compliments is because we are so bad at taking compliments.
Yeah, I'm the worst at it.
Hey, I am too. And I explained this in my guest earlier today. He said the same thing. We're terrible at taking compliments because we beat ourselves down so much, and we don't think that we're worth it. And I'm going to start out by saying you are fucking worth it. And honestly, I mean it. All right, man. So here we go. You, and I said this earlier, you're super empathetic, and that gives you a quality that not a lot of people have. And I really appreciate that about you. You can relate to somebody on a different level than most people can. And that's awesome. You've had a hard fucking life, but you're here. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you living another 24 hours, man.
Dude, I didn't think I'd make it to 35.
Hey, me neither.
James Dean life.
Life has kicked you when you're down, man. And sometimes it feels like it keeps kicking you while you're down, and you just keep getting up, dude. And that's important, is that you keep moving forward and that you keep doing that, man. And you are inspiring so many people, and you don't think that you are, but you are. You really are. And even if it's the person that's sitting in a hospital bed that is saying you're inspiring me, or the person that that's been behind the camera that keeps doing it day in and day out. You're inspiring them, and that's something beautiful.
I hate you.
And I know you do, but the thing is, it's my show.
I'm not being an asshole right now. All right, we're good.
and finally, you live life. Wow, you live life with almost complete abandon, meaning that you shoot your shot, and whatever happens from that point forward, that's out of your control. And that is something that is super hard, that a lot of people have a hard time grasping, to include myself. I shot my shot, and I don't think I showed this to you. I shot my shot with 10 different fucking people contacting them about being on this show. All of them have blue check marks. And I guarantee you, I'm not going to get a single response, but I did that. And I have a hard time accepting that. I have a hard time accepting that I'm not going to get a response, or that I may not get a response.
I'm not trying to interrupt. Please continue in like 5 seconds. But was one of those blue checks a friend of mine?
Maybe.
Okay, we're going to talk off air on that, because I could probably make that happen.
Okay. But you do it in a fashion of which is like, I'm putting it out there to the universe and we'll see what happens. And you don't let that hinder you one bit.
Off camera it does.
Yeah, off camera it does.
Nope.
But that is just something amazing. And I'm gonna say this, and I you're a fucking amazing human being. And I'm saying this without edits. I'm saying this without any filter. I'm not hitting a stop button and thinking what I have to say. I'm saying it, and it's coming from the heart. You are an amazing human being, and you inspire me to continue to do what I do. Because there's days where I look at my fucking phone, I'm like, I don't want to do this today. But then I pop on TikTok, and your video pops up, and you say something that hits me right in the heart, and I'm like, okay, I got to keep doing this. So I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You inspire me. And I love you, man. I really do.
God damn you. I love you too. I do mean that. And I'm very grateful for the kind words. Like you said, it's very hard to take compliments. Even like I get a lot of praise from people online and stuff like that. And it's very hard for me to scroll through them and like interact, because it's not because I don't know how to take compliments. It's because I don't want to come across facetious. I don't want to come across like I'm bigger than thou. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to all of a sudden become like Jake Paul basically and just, I'm nothing. And then I'm a dickhead. I've always wanted to remember who I am. And having, like I've mentioned so much, the support team with me, and the wonderful people that I have in my, like, it's a big support team at this fucking point, but the amount of people that are not necessarily guiding me, but listening to the ideas that I have, because some of the shit that I say, it can be taken as a different kind of thought. And so many people try to give me so many ideas of questions that they want me to answer. And I have to siphon through the questions of, I could do that, but there's reasons why I won't do that one. Certain wrestlers I don't really want to talk about, for, crippling reasons. Anyways, but watching the rise of what everything has happened in this whole empire that I'm building, I said this last week when I was in therapy, that if I left TikTok tomorrow, or if everything ended tomorrow now, I'd be okay with it. My biggest thing growing up was I always remember looking back on certain situations and thinking, man, if I would have just did that, or if I would have said this, or if I could have tried that, where now I am much more of a living in the moment kind of person. And people kind of see that about me. And a lot of my family members hate that about me, because I'm not a forward thinking person. I'm an in the moment person. And taking so much of the time, like my therapist always, he says the line of always make sure you take the time to smell the roses as you're going, because there's so many things that you're doing that are great, but if you keep putting yourself to the grindstone, you're never going to see the appreciation that you have. And
Absolutely.
it really stuck with me, because growing up, I had all kinds of wild dreams. We all did. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I wanted to be an NFL head coach. I wanted to be the host of Sports Center. Those were my 3 dreams I wanted to be as a kid, was those 3 damn things. If I wasn't in the WWF or WCW, I wanted to be a head coach, or I wanted to be the host of Sports Center. But then life changes and life evolves, and then you have kids, and then you get married, or in my case, you get divorced. And life.
Me too.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. Another thing is, so many people will say, like, man, I can never be cool with my ex-wife, or da-da-da-da-da. My ex-wife and I are not best friends, don't get it twisted, but we have a good co-parenting relationship for our kids. And she recently got remarried a couple months ago, and he's a good dude. He's a good dude to my kids. And like, it's a hard pill to swallow for certain things, but absolutely, do I trust him? Sure. There's some things I'll tell you off air that I can't tell on air. That will kind of blow your mind about some shit. But hiding, it's the old Paul Heyman motto of accentuate the features and hide the flaws.
Mm-hmm.
I have become such a pro at that, because I don't mean to sound disrespectful to anybody with what I'm about to say, because it's not meant to be controversial or negative. I've seen a lot of people in my field that have done a lot of very personal take type of videos lately. And I look at it in 2 different ways. One, it's courageous and ballsy. I absolutely get it, because it's hard to talk about some things like death.
Mm-hmm.
But when it becomes an accentuator on multiple things now it's not about that, I feel.
Yeah.
And the message gets distorted. Everything I've done, there's never really been a pure message besides, we're just doing this. Here we are.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens. And the McAfee thing with Chris Van Vliet and Ryan Satin following me on TikTok, and Chris Van Vliet is going to be on my show soon, and Top Dollar is going to be on the show soon, and like all the people that we've had on our podcast, like Sabu, what the fuck? I have a real funny story. Remind me to tell you about Abdullah the Butcher off air,
Okay.
because holy shit, are you gonna laugh? But like, I always just wanted to blaze a different path. And there's people that are like-minded, like myself, like Mr. Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Nick is a perfect example, because him and I are the antithesis of each other. If you really look at us to our cores, we are the antithesis of who we are. He's very Sunday school. He's positive energy. You never see him talk about anything that would be any kind of controversialness. He very much protects his environment, and I get it. Where with mine, I'm in the same realm, but I'm in a different universe.
Yeah.
Where mine is much more of a brash underground style, but it's a different way of inspiring.
Absolutely.
Nick inspires through positivity. I inspire by trying to tell you, be you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before we shut the show down, where can we find you? Obviously, TikTok at Love Panda. Where else can we find you?
Oh, well, let's see. Let's go through the next month of shit. We'll go through the socials, and then we'll go through the month of shit, because there'll be a lot of places I'm going to be in the next month. Yeah, Love Panda 24x48, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, PlayStation Network. It's pretty much everywhere you find Love Panda, you'll find me. And July 26th, Forbidden Door, Chicago. July 29th, AEW Blood and Guts in Detroit. August 15th, I think it is, for AEW Dynamite in Grand Rapids. And then July 3rd, my pro wrestling debut myself in Orlando.
It's awesome. You're a busy, busy man.
Dude, that Battle Royal is going to be wild.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Matt. I really appreciate you being here and taking some time to hang out. And just know that we're watching and we love you.
I love you, brother. Thank you.
All right. Much love. Hey, and everybody watching, we're going to sign off, and you are extraordinary.